What if the key to wealth was never in the markets, the economy, or the hustle, but in a partnership with the One who spoke the universe into existence? What if the CEO of your life was not fear, doubt, or scarcity, but the author of abundance himself? Today, we step into a divine boardroom where faith writes the strategy, obedience opens the doors, gratitude fuels the growth, and His Word becomes the blueprint for building a life overflowing with wealth, purpose, and peace. In the beginning of every great structure, there is always a blueprint. The architect sees the end before the first stone is laid. The builder follows the plan faithfully because it carries the complete vision of what is to come. In the same way, God holds the blueprint for your life, an intricate design of abundance, success, health, and peace. When you make Him the CEO, the master planner, you step into a life where nothing is accidental and every detail serves a divine purpose. The wealth you seek already exists in the spiritual realm, waiting to take shape in your reality. So often, people live as if they are wandering through life without direction, trying one thing and then another, hoping something will finally work. They chase money, chase success, chase recognition, and yet something always seems to be missing. They forget that lasting wealth is not born from striving, but from alignment with a higher plan. When you realize that God Himself has written the script of your success, you stop struggling and begin listening. The moment you recognize that there is a divine design guiding you, your life shifts from chaos to clarity, from lack to provision, from limitation to limitless supply. The divine blueprint is not created by human effort. It flows from the Word of God, alive and powerful, shaping everything it touches. It carries within it ideas, opportunities, connections, and resources beyond anything you could imagine. When God says He will supply all your needs according to His riches, it means there is a storehouse of blessings with your name on it, waiting for you to claim it through faith and obedience. You are not here by accident. Every talent, every dream, every desire in your heart is part of this sacred design. But here is the mystery. God does not show you the entire blueprint at once. He gives it step by step, instruction by instruction, because faith is built in the process. If you saw the entire plan, you would not need trust. You would not need to lean on Him for direction. Instead, the divine CEO calls you to walk by faith and not by sight, to believe His Word even when circumstances seem empty or barren. Every act of obedience lays another stone in the structure of your destiny. Each time you choose faith over fear, you align with the divine plan that never fails. Many people ask, how do I know if I am following the divine blueprint? The answer is simple: peace. When you are walking in step with God's plan, there is a deep inner calm even in the midst of outward storms. Doors open with ease. Opportunities arrive without struggle. Ideas flow at the right time. The wrong people leave your life, and the right people appear. The blueprint of prosperity is not marked by constant anxiety or desperation. It is marked by divine order. What is meant for you does not pass you by when you are aligned with the Master Architect. This alignment begins with the Word. The words you speak are powerful tools in shaping your life. When you declare lack, you invite lack. When you declare provision, you invite provision. The blueprint unfolds according to the language of faith. That is why the CEO of your life instructs you to speak life, speak abundance, speak victory, even before you see it with your eyes. The words you speak are like ink on the pages of your destiny, writing the story of your wealth and success according to divine design. The world may teach you to chase wealth with relentless striving, to work yourself into exhaustion, to rely solely on logic and calculation. But divine wisdom says, seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added unto you. This is not a call to passivity, it is a call to alignment. When you make God the CEO, your work becomes fruitful because it is rooted in divine purpose rather than human pressure. You are no longer running after blessings, they begin to run after you. The blueprint carries not only the plan, but also the provision. What you need will always meet you on the path of obedience. consider the way seeds grow. A farmer plants them in faith, trusting the design of nature. He cannot see the roots forming beneath the soil, yet he knows the harvest will come, because the process is built into creation itself. In the same way, the blueprint of prosperity carries within it seasons of planting and seasons of harvest. You may be in the planting stage right now, working, learning, sowing in faith, but the harvest is already scheduled. It cannot be rushed, but it also cannot be stopped. There are times when the blueprint takes you through what feels like delay or detour. You pray for financial breakthrough, yet the answer seems slow in coming. You expect doors to open, yet some doors close instead. Do not be discouraged. The divine CEO sees what you cannot see. A closed door is not rejection, it is redirection. The blueprint may be protecting you from wrong opportunities or preparing you for greater ones. What looks like loss today may be the foundation for extraordinary gain tomorrow. Trust that every chapter of the plan carries purpose, even when it feels hidden. When you begin to see God as the CEO of your life, you stop worrying about competition or scarcity. The world's system operates on fear, fear of not enough, fear of losing, fear of failure. But the divine system operates on abundance. There is no shortage in God's economy. If He designed the blueprint, He also designed unlimited supply to fulfill it. You do not have to take from another to prosper. Your wealth does not depend on someone else's loss. The table of blessings is large enough for everyone who walks by faith. The divine blueprint also requires obedience. Wealth is not only about receiving, it is about following instructions. Sometimes the CEO will prompt you to give when it feels uncomfortable, or to take a step of faith when it seems uncertain. These instructions are never to harm you but to position you for increase. Every act of obedience unlocks another part of the plan. The blueprint is living and dynamic. It responds to your faith, your gratitude, your willingness to follow divine direction. And then comes the most beautiful part. The blueprint carries peace even in the process. While others panic in uncertainty, you can rest knowing the CEO of the universe holds the plan. You do not have to figure out every detail. You simply have to trust the one who wrote it. Each day becomes an unfolding of divine order, where even setbacks become setups for greater blessings. Wealth flows naturally because it follows the design of the one who owns all resources. The divine blueprint of prosperity begins the moment you surrender the role of planner and take the role of partner. You are not the architect, you are the co-laborer. Your part is faith, obedience, gratitude, and alignment. God's part is provision, timing, and opening the right doors. Together, this partnership creates a life where success is not built on fear or striving, but on the unshakable foundation of divine wisdom and infinite supply. From the very beginning of time, words carried the power of creation. Let there be light. And there was light. Everything in existence began with a spoken word, carrying divine energy that shaped reality. The same creative force rests in your tongue, waiting to be awakened through faith-filled declarations. When God becomes the CEO of your life, He teaches you to speak not according to what you see, but according to what He has promised. For words are not empty sounds, they are spiritual seeds, planting the future you desire to live in. Many people do not realize they are shaping their lives with their speech every single day. They speak of lack, and lack multiplies. They speak of fear, and fear grows stronger. They repeat phrases of limitation. I can't afford this. Nothing ever works for me. Life is hard. And wonder why their reality mirrors the very words they have spoken. The universe, like rich soil, receives every word as a seed, whether of faith or of doubt, and produces a harvest in kind. That is why divine wisdom commands you to guard your tongue, for your words carry life or death, blessing or curse, abundance or scarcity. Speaking the word of abundance is not about ignoring reality, it is about reshaping it. You do not deny what exists, you declare what will be. When lack stares you in the face, you speak provision. When doors appear closed, you speak opportunity. When sickness tries to linger, you speak healing. This is not wishful thinking, it is aligning your speech with divine promises rather than human circumstances. For what you continually speak, you eventually believe, and what you believe, you begin to attract. Imagine a king whose decrees cannot be questioned. The moment he speaks, messengers run to carry out his words, and the entire kingdom aligns with his command. In the spiritual realm, your words carry similar authority when spoken in faith. Angels respond to them, circumstances shift for them, opportunities align with them, because they echo the language of divine truth. When you declare abundance, heaven itself agrees with you, releasing resources and favor in ways you cannot see. This is why divine instruction tells you to speak things that are not as though they already exist. The natural mind may resist this, asking, "How can I say I am wealthy when my bank account is empty? How can I declare success when all I see is failure?" But faith speaks before the evidence appears. It calls forth what already exists in the spiritual realm until it manifests in the physical. The blueprint of abundance is activated when your words agree with divine promises, rather than with temporary appearances. Think of words as containers of energy. Negative words carry the energy of fear, doubt, and limitation. Positive, faith-filled words carry the energy of life, power, and abundance. The moment you declare, "I live in divine supply," you release a current of provision that begins to flow toward you. The moment you say, "Doors of opportunity open for me," the path before you starts to rearrange itself. Your speech becomes a magnet, drawing into your life whatever agrees with the words you consistently release. This is why complaining is so dangerous. Each time you complain, you rehearse lack and amplify it. The more you talk about how bad things are, the more power you give to the very problems you want to escape. The divine CEO calls you to a higher language, the language of gratitude, praise, and faith. When you speak blessings instead of curses, gratitude instead of grumbling, promises instead of problems, you change the atmosphere around you. People feel it, opportunities respond to it. Even your own mind begins to rewire itself toward abundance rather than scarcity. There is also timing in speaking the word of abundance. A seed planted once may wither if neglected, but a seed watered daily flourishes. In the same way, your declarations must be consistent. You do not speak faith once and then cancel it with a week of doubt-filled words. Each day, you speak life over your finances, your work, your health, your relationships, until the reality before you matches the vision within you. Repetition is not begging, it is reinforcing. Every time you declare abundance, you drive the roots of faith deeper into your soul until nothing can shake them. But speaking the word of abundance also requires inner conviction. Empty words, spoken without belief, carry little power. True faith speaks with authority because it knows the one who promised is faithful. When you declare provision, you are not hoping desperately, you are aligning with a divine covenant that cannot fail. This inner assurance grows as you meditate on divine promises until they saturate your heart. Out of that overflow, your mouth speaks with unshakable confidence, commanding blessings to manifest according to the divine plan. Consider how water shapes stone over time. A river, flowing day after day, carves valleys, moves mountains, and transforms landscapes. Your words work the same way. At first, circumstances may look unchanged, but as you continue to speak abundance, speak victory, speak blessings, the steady current of faith-filled speech begins to reshape the terrain of your life. One day, what seemed immovable suddenly gives way, and you step into the reality you have been declaring all along. Some will mock this practice, calling it unrealistic or foolish. They will say, "You can't just speak wealth into existence." But these same voices often speak failure into their own lives without realizing it. They declare limitations every day. "I'll never get ahead. This always happens to me. Nothing ever changes," and then wonder why nothing changes. The law works whether you believe in it or not. Speaking the word of abundance simply uses the law in your favor rather than against you. When God becomes your CEO, He trains your speech the way a master craftsman trains an apprentice. You begin catching yourself before negative words escape your lips. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," you say, "The money I need comes to me in divine order." Instead of saying, "I never get opportunities," you declare, "Opportunities find me because I walk in divine favor." Over time, this new language becomes natural, flowing from your spirit rather than forced by your mind. You begin living as if abundance is inevitable because your words no longer allow room for anything else. And here is the deeper mystery. Speaking abundance not only changes your external world, but transforms your inner world. As you declare blessings, your faith grows stronger, your gratitude deepens, your fear dissolves. You become a vessel ready to receive because you have spoken yourself into alignment with divine supply. The moment you speak lack, you shrink your capacity to receive. The moment you speak abundance, you expand it. Your words build the container into which blessings can pour. Gratitude plays a key role in this process. When you thank God for blessings before they appear, you demonstrate faith in His promises. Gratitude-filled speech multiplies whatever you have because it keeps your focus on abundance rather than scarcity. Instead of constantly asking for more, you thank Him for what is already on the way. This creates a spiritual atmosphere where increase becomes inevitable because your words are watering seeds of faith rather than seeds of doubt. As you speak abundance, do not be surprised when doors open in unexpected places. Your words set forces in motion you cannot see. People begin to cross your path who carry answers to your prayers. Ideas come to you in quiet moments, leading to opportunities you never planned. The world calls it coincidence, the divine blueprint calls it alignment. Speaking the word of abundance releases divine orchestration, arranging details behind the scenes until the visible world catches up with the invisible decree you have spoken. When God becomes the CEO of your life, He does not just hand you a vision and then leave you to figure out the way forward. He leads, instructs, guides, and directs every step with divine precision. Yet the key to unlocking this guidance lies in one simple but powerful word: obedience. For wealth, success, and abundance are not only products of faith and declaration, they are also the natural result of following divine direction without hesitation or doubt. The divine blueprint of your life, as perfect as it is, requires your participation. It unfolds not through striving or guessing, but through listening and obeying. Many pray for financial increase, for breakthrough opportunities, for success in business and life, yet ignore the quiet instructions that could lead them straight into the blessings they seek. They want the harvest but resist the planting. They want the palace but refuse the path. Yet divine direction often comes as a gentle nudge, a still small voice, a sense of peace about one decision and discomfort about another, leading you step by step toward your promised abundance. Obedience to divine direction means trusting even when you cannot see the entire map. It means moving when the Spirit whispers, "Go," and waiting when the same voice says, "Be still." The world teaches independence, the idea that success comes by figuring everything out yourself, by controlling every outcome. But divine wisdom teaches dependence, not on people, not on circumstances, but on the one who sees the end from the beginning. He knows where the opportunities lie, which connections will bless you, which ventures will prosper, and which paths lead to dead ends. When you obey, you align yourself with His perfect knowledge, avoiding unnecessary loss and stepping into doors only He can open. Sometimes obedience will seem illogical to the natural mind. He may lead you to give when you feel you have little. He may tell you to rest when you want to strive harder. He may close a door you desperately wanted open because He sees danger beyond it. Each instruction carries purpose, even when it feels uncomfortable. The divine CEO does not operate according to human reasoning, He operates according to divine strategy. What looks like a setback may actually be a setup for extraordinary blessings ahead. Consider the story of anyone who has walked in divine success. There is always a moment when they had to follow a prompting that made no sense at the time. Perhaps it was leaving a familiar job for an uncertain opportunity, investing in something when others doubted, or speaking words of faith when everything around them screamed failure. Obedience is often tested in these moments, for it requires you to trust the one giving the instruction more than you trust your own understanding. The promise remains true: when you acknowledge Him in all your ways, He will direct your paths. Obedience is also linked to timing. A divine idea released too early can fail because the ground is not yet ready. A blessing received too soon can overwhelm rather than empower. The CEO knows the perfect season for every instruction. There is a time to act swiftly and a time to wait patiently, a time to step forward boldly and a time to remain hidden while preparation takes place. Those who rush ahead without listening often end up exhausted, chasing opportunities never meant for them, while those who obey divine timing find doors opening effortlessly because they moved when the moment was right. Wealth built on disobedience often carries hidden sorrow, but wealth built on obedience carries peace. Many chase money by any means necessary, cutting corners, compromising values, ignoring inner warnings, only to find that what they gained outwardly cost them inwardly. Divine direction never leads this way. When God guides you into abundance, it enriches without adding anxiety or regret. You prosper outwardly while remaining at peace inwardly, because the path you followed was aligned with divine will rather than human ambition. Another secret about obedience is that it often begins in small things. Before the CEO entrusts you with major instructions, starting a business, launching a project, stepping into leadership, he may test you with quiet promptings: forgive that person, give generously here, wake up earlier to pray, stop speaking words of lack. To the natural mind, these may seem unrelated to wealth or success, yet they are building the spiritual foundation upon which larger blessings rest. A person faithful in small acts of obedience positions themselves for greater assignments and greater provision. Obedience also requires surrendering control. Many want to follow divine direction as long as it agrees with their own plans. The moment instructions conflict with personal preferences, they hesitate or resist. Yet the CEO sees the entire picture while you see only one corner. What looks like loss in the moment may actually be protection from disaster. What feels like delay may actually be preparation for greater influence. Obedience trusts the wisdom of the one giving the command, even when emotions rebel and logic protests. This surrender does not mean passivity. Obedience is active partnership. When divine direction comes, you move in faith, take practical steps, and do what is within your power while trusting God for what is beyond your power. If He leads you to start a business, you research, plan, and prepare while trusting Him to send the right clients and opportunities. If He prompts you to invest in learning a skill, you study diligently while trusting Him to open the right career doors. Obedience combines spiritual listening with practical action, marrying faith with works so that blessings have both divine and human cooperation. There is also protection in obedience. The divine CEO not only leads you into abundance, but shields you from harm. A closed door can be as much a blessing as an open one if it prevents you from walking into financial traps or relationships that would drain your energy and resources. Many look back years later and realize that what felt like disappointment was actually mercy in disguise. Obedience may cost you short-term comfort, but it saves you from long-term regret. Obedience to divine direction also keeps pride in check. When blessings begin to flow, it is easy for people to credit their own wisdom, forgetting the source of their success. But those who walk closely with God know that every breakthrough traces back to a moment of quiet instruction followed in faith. This humility keeps the channel of provision open because the heart remains aligned with the giver rather than obsessed with the gift. Listening for divine direction requires stillness in a noisy world. Opportunities shout, distractions compete for attention, fears demand instant answers. but the CEO often speaks in whispers, requiring you to quiet external noise and internal anxiety to hear clearly. Through prayer, reflection, and sensitivity to inner peace, you discern which ideas carry divine weight and which are mere human impulses. The more you practice this, the sharper your spiritual hearing becomes, until obedience flows naturally because you recognize the shepherd's voice without confusion. Over time, obedience transforms your entire perspective on wealth and success. You stop chasing what others chase. You no longer measure progress by comparison or competition. Instead, you move according to divine rhythm, knowing that the same one who directs you also provides for you. Your confidence grows, because you know you cannot miss what is meant for you when you follow the one who writes the plan. Each instruction becomes a stepping stone, carrying you from one level of provision to another, from one realm of influence to the next, until your life reflects the fullness of the divine blueprint designed before you were born. Faith is the currency of the divine economy. It is the unseen capital that builds empires, opens doors, and calls forth blessings from the invisible realm into the visible world. When God becomes the CEO of your life, He asks you to invest, not first in stocks or ventures or possessions, but in faith. For everything in the divine blueprint flows through this spiritual channel. Faith is the foundation upon which wealth, success, healing, and opportunities are constructed. Without it, the plan remains locked. With it, the impossible becomes inevitable. Faith sees what eyes cannot yet see. It speaks before evidence appears. It acts before circumstances align. The natural mind waits for proof. Faith creates proof. The world says, "I will believe it when I see it." Faith says, "I believe it. Therefore I will see it." This shift in perspective separates those who live at the mercy of conditions from those who shape conditions by the power of belief. When you invest in faith, you are placing absolute trust in the promises of God rather than the predictions of man. Economic systems rise and fall. Markets fluctuate. Opportunities come and go. But the word remains unshaken. Faith anchors you in divine certainty while the world trembles in uncertainty. It keeps you moving forward when logic says retreat. It whispers abundance when circumstances shout lack. Consider the farmer who sows seed into the soil. He does not see the harvest the next day, yet he rises each morning expecting growth because he trusts the process built into creation itself. Faith works the same way. When you speak words of abundance, follow divine direction, and act on inspired ideas, you are planting seeds in the soil of the spiritual realm. The harvest may not appear instantly, but it is guaranteed because divine laws cannot fail. Faith also carries creative power. Every invention, every business empire, every breakthrough began with someone believing in what others could not yet see. They invested time, energy, and resources into a vision that existed first in the unseen realm of ideas. In the same way, when you believe divine promises, you give substance to what begins as unseen potential until it manifests as tangible reality. Wealth first lives in the realm of faith before it appears in bank accounts or properties or businesses. Yet faith is often tested. The divine CEO may give you a vision of abundance while your current circumstances look nothing like it. Bills pile up, opportunities seem scarce, doors close instead of opening. In these moments, the temptation is to give up, to assume the promises were empty or the vision was a mistake. But faith holds steady, knowing that delays are not denials and obstacles are not the final word. The blueprint of your life is larger than any temporary challenge. This is why faith must be fed daily. Just as the body needs food, the spirit needs reminders of truth to stay strong. Reading divine promises, speaking words of abundance, surrounding yourself with voices of faith rather than fear, all these nourish the inner life so it can withstand external storms. A faith-starved soul easily collapses under pressure, but a faith-fed soul stands unshaken, declaring abundance when others declare defeat. Faith also requires action. Believing without acting is like planting seeds and refusing to water them. The divine CEO may prompt you to start a business, learn a new skill, make a connection, or give generously even when it seems small. These actions demonstrate trust. They say, "I believe the harvest is coming, so I will prepare for it now." Many wait for signs before moving, but faith moves before signs appear, and the signs follow. Obedience and faith work together like two wings of the same bird. Obedience follows divine direction, faith trusts the outcome. Obedience takes the step, faith believes the ground will appear beneath your feet. Together they lift you into realms of provision impossible to reach through human effort alone. Another secret about faith is that it multiplies whatever it touches. Fear shrinks possibilities, but faith expands them. A fearful person sees only obstacles. A faith-filled person sees opportunities hidden within obstacles. Fear waits for perfect conditions before acting. Faith acts and transforms conditions through action. This is why two people can face the same circumstances yet experience completely different outcomes. One speaks limitation, the other speaks abundance. One expects failure, the other expects favor. Life responds accordingly. Faith also protects the mind from the poison of comparison. When you trust divine timing and divine provision, you stop measuring your progress against others. You no longer feel threatened by someone else's success because you know the CEO has written a unique blueprint for you. What belongs to you cannot be taken by another. What has not yet appeared is simply waiting for the appointed time. Faith rests in this assurance while continuing to prepare for increase. Gratitude strengthens faith. When you thank God for blessings before they manifest, you demonstrate trust in His word. Gratitude says, "I believe it is already mine, even if I do not yet see it." This attitude turns waiting seasons into worship rather than worry. Instead of complaining about what has not yet come, you celebrate what is on the way, keeping the channel of expectation open and clear. Faith also transforms how you view giving. The world says, "Hold tightly to what you have, you might lose it." Faith says, "Give freely, and it will return multiplied." Many fear generosity because they see money as limited, but faith knows divine supply is endless. Every seed sown, whether financial, emotional, or spiritual, returns as a harvest greater than the seed itself. Giving in faith becomes a joy rather than a burden because you trust the law of increase rather than the illusion of loss. Doubt, however, is the enemy of faith. It creeps in through delays, disappointments, and distractions, whispering that the promises will not come to pass. The key is not to deny doubt's existence, but to starve it of power. You starve doubt by refusing to speak its language. You feed faith by speaking abundance, rehearsing promises, and acting on divine instructions even when emotions fluctuate. Feelings may waver, but faith stands firm because it rests on truth rather than mood. Over time, faith creates momentum. What begins as small steps of trust grows into a lifestyle of expectation. You start noticing blessings arriving in unexpected ways. A conversation leading to an opportunity, a closed door replaced by a better one, financial provision appearing when needed most. The world calls it luck, faith calls it alignment. The more you trust, the more evidence appears, strengthening your faith further, creating a cycle of belief and manifestation that carries you from one level of provision to another. Ultimately, faith is the ultimate investment because it never fails to yield returns when placed in divine promises. Earthly investments rise and fall. Faith produces eternal dividends. It enriches not only bank accounts, but also minds with peace, hearts with courage, and lives with purpose. When you invest in faith, you are building on the only foundation that cannot be shaken, securing wealth that begins within and flows outward into every area of life. Gratitude is the language of abundance, the golden key that unlocks the storehouses of divine provision. When God becomes the CEO of your life, He teaches you that wealth is not only measured by what you have, but also by the attitude with which you receive it. Gratitude transforms what looks small into more than enough. It multiplies blessings, opens new doors, and keeps the flow of divine provision continuous. Without gratitude, even great wealth feels empty. With it, even the smallest blessing becomes a seed of endless increase. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. Many people live in constant dissatisfaction, always chasing the next achievement, the next amount of money, the next milestone, believing happiness and abundance lie somewhere in the future. They fail to see the gifts surrounding them every day, the breath in their lungs, the opportunities already given, the needs already met. Gratitude pauses the restless heart and opens the eyes to recognize divine provision in both ordinary and extraordinary ways. When you give thanks for what you have, you create spiritual alignment with the law of increase. Complaining blocks blessings because it focuses on lack, magnifying what is missing rather than celebrating what is present. Gratitude, on the other hand, magnifies abundance, declaring to the universe, "I see the goodness already in my life, and I welcome more." Like a magnet, it draws additional blessings because it creates a spirit of receptivity rather than resistance. This is why the divine blueprint includes gratitude at every stage of the journey. Even before manifestations appear, gratitude speaks as if they are already here. When you thank God in advance, you demonstrate faith in His promises. You shift from begging to believing, from anxiety to assurance. Instead of saying, "I hope it comes," you declare, "I thank you it is on the way." That simple shift moves you from a position of scarcity to one of abundance. Gratitude also transforms how you see delays and detours. When things do not happen on your timeline, the natural response is frustration. But gratitude says, "Even in waiting, I trust the process." It recognizes that unseen details are being arranged, lessons are being learned, and character is being shaped for the greater blessings ahead. What feels like delay may be divine preparation. Gratitude keeps your heart peaceful in seasons when others panic, because you trust that the CEO has not forgotten the blueprint he wrote for your life. There is power in speaking gratitude aloud. Thoughts of thankfulness are good, but words carry creative force. When you say, "I am thankful for divine provision. I celebrate the opportunities coming to me. I praise God for doors opening in perfect timing," you release vibrations of abundance into the atmosphere. You shift your inner state, reprogram your mind, and align your energy with the flow of increase. The spoken word of gratitude becomes a seed planted in both your heart and the spiritual realm, ready to produce a harvest of blessings. Gratitude also changes your relationship with money itself. Many fear money, resent it, or feel unworthy of it. They see it as something scarce, something difficult to attain, something that slips away too easily. Gratitude dissolves these negative beliefs. When you thank God for every bit of provision, from the smallest to the largest, you stop seeing money as a source of stress and start seeing it as a tool of blessing. You welcome it without fear, use it with wisdom, and release it with generosity, knowing it flows back multiplied. Generosity naturally flows from a grateful heart. When you appreciate what you have, you no longer cling to it in fear. You give freely because you trust divine supply to replenish and multiply what you release. The act of giving becomes joyful rather than reluctant, because you see yourself not as the source, but as the steward of blessings meant to flow through you. Not just to you. The more you give in gratitude, the more space you create for greater blessings to enter. Gratitude also softens the heart, keeping success from turning into pride. Wealth without gratitude breeds arrogance, the illusion that you achieved everything by your own strength. But wealth with gratitude keeps you humble, always aware that every opportunity, every idea, every open door ultimately traces back to divine provision. Gratitude grounds you in humility while lifting you into greater realms of abundance, a paradox only the divine can orchestrate. Another secret about gratitude is that it multiplies not only material blessings but also inner wealth, peace, joy, contentment, and fulfillment. Some people chase money all their lives yet feel empty when they achieve it because they never cultivated gratitude along the way. They gained possessions but lost perspective. Gratitude keeps the soul rich even as the bank account grows. It fills the heart with appreciation for life itself so that wealth becomes a servant rather than a master, a blessing rather than a burden. Daily practice keeps gratitude alive. Each morning, before rushing into tasks and concerns, pausing to thank God for life, for health, for opportunities, sets the tone for the day. Each evening, reflecting on blessings big and small trains the mind to notice abundance rather than lack. Over time, gratitude becomes a reflex rather than an effort. You start to see blessings where others see nothing special, because your eyes have been trained to recognize divine fingerprints in every detail of life. Gratitude also disarms fear about the future. Worry says, "What if things go wrong?" Gratitude says, "Look at how often things have gone right." Worry imagines scarcity ahead. Gratitude remembers faithfulness behind. Each time you thank God for past provision, you strengthen trust for future provision. The same one who provided before will provide again, and gratitude keeps this truth alive in your heart even when circumstances try to shake it. When challenges arise, gratitude becomes spiritual warfare. Instead of letting problems steal your peace, you thank God for solutions already on the way. Instead of letting lack dominate your thoughts, you celebrate the supply you believe is coming. Gratitude refuses to let circumstances dictate your inner state. It declares abundance in the face of lack, victory in the face of setbacks, provision in the face of need, shifting the atmosphere from fear to faith. Over time, gratitude attracts divine ideas and opportunities because it keeps you tuned to the frequency of abundance. A grateful mind is open, creative, and expectant, ready to recognize solutions others overlook, while a complaining heart misses doors opening right in front of it. A grateful heart sees possibilities everywhere because it lives in constant expectation of goodness. Ultimately, gratitude as the currency of increase transforms your entire approach to life. Instead of chasing blessings anxiously, you live in a posture of continual receiving. Instead of fearing loss, you trust the flow of divine provision. Instead of measuring wealth only by numbers, you measure it by peace, joy, purpose, and the ability to bless others. Gratitude turns every moment into fertile ground for miracles because it aligns your heart, your words, and your actions with the law of divine abundance. When God becomes the CEO of your life, wealth is no longer a chase, it is a flow. It begins in the spirit before it appears in the world of form. His word becomes your contract, His guidance your strategy, His timing your security, and His abundance your inheritance. Through faith, obedience, gratitude, and the power of your words, you align with the divine blueprint that was written for you before time began. The doors open, the ideas come, the opportunities multiply, and the supply never runs dry because you have stepped into partnership with the one who owns it all. As you walk this path, wealth stops being only about what you hold in your hands and becomes about the overflow of peace, joy, and purpose that fills your entire life.